Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Politricks in the Divided States of America. And in today's Politrick news, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Tabitha, and starting off today's news is the story of the day, and that is this story that is happening with the Secret Service. An oversight committee reached out to the Secret Service to obtain some text messages that took place between January 5th and January 6th. And after the Secret Service received that request, they proceeded to erase text messages that took place on January 5th and January 6th. I got this story from CNN. Here's what CNN is reporting. U.S. Secret Service erased text messages from January 5th and January 6th of 2021, shortly after they were requested by oversight officials investigating the agency's response to the U.S. Capitol riot, according to a letter given to the House Select Committee investigating the insurrection and obtained by CNN. Now, this story dropped last night. After this story dropped, the word on the curb in political news streets was that all 9 January 6 committee members ended up in Nancy Pelosi's office. I don't know how true that is. I haven't been able to find any news reports confirming or substantiating this rumor that is taking place, but let's move on with the article. The letter, which was originally sent to the House and Senate Homeland Security Committees by the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General, says the messages were erased from the system as part of a device replacement program after the watchdog asked the agency for records related to its electronic communications. Now, I find that mighty convenient that after these records were requested, the Secret Service deleted these text messages. The department notified us that many U.S. Secret Service text messages from January 5th and 6th were erased as part of a device replacement program. The USSS erased those text messages after OIG requested records of electronic communications from the USSS as part of our evaluation of events at the Capitol on January 6th. Second, DHS personnel have repeatedly told OIG inspectors that they were not permitted to provide records directly to OIG and that such records had to first undergo review by DHS attorneys. This review led to weeks-long delays in OIG obtaining records and created confusion over whether all records had been produced. The Intercept was first to report the DHS IG letter. The U.S. Secret Service pushed back, as we expected they would. The U.S. Secret Service pushed back on the allegations in a statement saying that the insinuation that the Secret Service maliciously deleted text messages following a request is false. I mean, what we expect them to say? We expect them to admit that they purposefully deleted text messages in the hopes of keeping the January 6th committee from finding out about the communications that took place on January 5th and January 6th between Secret Service employees. The statement continued. DHS OIG requested electronics communications for the first time on February 26, 2021. That was over a year ago. After migration was well underway, the Secret Service notified DHS OIG of the loss of certain phones' data, but confirmed to OIG that none of the texts it was seeking had been lost in the migration. So what were we talking about? If none of the text messages were lost during the migration, hand them over. Hand them over. If this request took place February 26th and we're now in February 26th of 2021 and we're now in July 2022, why haven't those records been turned over? Senator Gary Peters, chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, called the allegations concerning in a statement on Thursday. We need to get to the bottom of whether the Secret Service destroyed federal records or the Department of Homeland Security obstructed oversight. The DHS Inspector General needs these records to do its independent oversight, and the public deserves to have a full picture of what occurred on January 6th. Yes, we do. I want to know what happened on January 6th. And these text messages will provide pieces to the puzzle. So, yes, we deserve to know. We have a right to know. Representative Benny Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi, chairs both the House Homeland Security and January 6 committees. He acknowledged in a statement on Thursday evening that the panel had gotten the letter. The Committee on Homeland Security received a letter from the DHS Inspector General regarding the Secret Service deleting text messages the Office of Inspector General requested as part of its investigation into January 6th, the attack on the Capitol. The committee will be briefed about this extraordinarily troubling destruction of records and respond accordingly. While the letter does not say whether the DHS watchdog believes these text messages were erased intentionally or for a nefarious reason, the incident adds to growing questions about the Secret Service's response to the U.S. Capitol attack. I would say so. The Secret Service has been in the spotlight since witnesses have described how former President Donald Trump, a former advisor to then Vice President Mike Pence, also referenced the Secret Service in his testimony. Greg Jacob, Pence's former counsel, told the panel that Pence refused to get into the vice presidential vehicle after being evacuated from the Capitol, raising concerns that the driver would have taken him to a secure location and thus prevent him from certifying the electoral results. More than a year after the riot, the Homeland Security Inspector General review of the Secret Service and its actions on January 6th remains ongoing. Now, I find this suspicious. I don't know about y'all. Do you find this suspicious? I find it suspicious. I don't expect the Secret Service to come out and say, "Oh yeah, we deleted these text messages because we didn't want y'all to know what was being said." Right? Clearly, MAGA nuts had raised up a gallows. I believe they had every intention of hanging Mike Pence at the direction of Donald Trump. And if they didn't succeed in hanging Mike Pence, it is not far off for us to think that there was a plan B. This is ongoing. This news is just breaking. We'll see what comes up. Like I said, let's not forget, the word on the curb out there in those political streets is that all 9 of the committee members, the January 6 committee members, were huddled up in Nancy Pelosi's office last night. And that took place after this news report dropped. Wonder what they could have been talking about. Got some good news to report. Lauren Boebert's Shooter's Grill out in Colorado has been shut down. The building refused to renew her lease, citing moral grounds. I find that interesting. She's not addressing the reason why the lease was not. Here's what Lauren Boebert had to say. There wasn't really much wiggle room or anywhere to compromise unless we bought the building ourselves. Mm-hmm. She added that she was hoping to preserve the Shooters brand with her husband. It's been an amazing journey. I don't regret anything. It's always sad to close a chapter, but this is where we're at. No mention of why the lease was terminated. And I'm sure if the owners of the building were willing to sell the building to her, I'm sure it was going to be at a pretty penny. If they weren't going to renew your lease due to moral standing, they were going to make it almost impossible for you to purchase the building, because basically they're telling you they want you out. Couldn't have happened to a much more deserving person. Now, our next story that I'm going to share with you, I talked a little bit about over on TikTok. Here's the start of this next segment. So I learned a new term today. And whenever I learn a new term, I try my best to come in and share it with the rest of you all. Today's new term is stochastic terrorism, or stochastic terrorist. Stochastic terrorism is the use of mass communications to incite lone wolves to carry out unpredictable violent acts. The stochastic terrorist is certain that his inflammatory rhetoric will stir up violence. He just does not know exactly what will happen or who it will be or where or when. We have a picture of Donald Trump. He is a stochastic terrorist that incites stochastic terrorism. Think of Lauren Boebert. Think of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Think of Josh Hawley. Think of Ted Cruz. Those are stochastic terrorists using stochastic terrorism. Also, let's talk about Fox News being a stochastic terrorist. You guys remember the news story of the 10-year-old girl that was raped and she got pregnant and she couldn't get an abortion in Ohio because Ohio has an abortion ban. She had to travel outside of the state in order to get that abortion. Well, Fox News did this. Fox News posted the name and the photo of the doctor who helped the 10-year-old Ohio rape victim in getting an abortion. And they are putting it out there in the atmosphere by using their mass communication capability to suggest that the doctor be arrested. Now, we all know that Fox News has a plethora of mentally ill viewers that watch all of their news shows. So they know that posting the picture of that doctor and her name, that one of their mentally ill viewers will probably go out and attempt to inflict violence or further harass that physician. Stochastic terrorism. And Fox News are stochastic terrorists. So, as a result of the stochastic terrorism that's being done by MAGA, Fox News on this doctor, the Indiana Attorney General is looking to charge the doctor who performed that abortion on that 10-year-old girl. I got this from Politico. I won't read all of it, but you guys know all of the links where I get these stories from will be available down in the description box. So the Indiana Attorney General, again, I got this from Politico. His name is Todd Rokita. He is threatening criminal charges against the doctor who performed an abortion on a 10-year-old survivor from Ohio, a major escalation in the ongoing saga that has put the Midwestern state on the front lines of the post-Roe War. In a new letter from Rokita, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but I don't care. He doesn't really deserve respect. Republican Governor Eric Holcomb, dated Wednesday but released on Thursday, asked for records from the Indiana Department of Health and the Department of Child Services to determine whether the physician, I'm not going to say her name, I'm not going to be a part of this stochastic terrorism that's being performed by Fox News and MAGA and these MAGA Republicans that are currently holding political office. With Indiana University, on Thursday, asked for records from the Indiana Department of Health and the Department of Children's Services to determine whether the physician filed the legally required reports within a 3-day window of performing the abortion. Rokita, the attorney general for Indiana, alleges that the two state agencies have not adequately responded to his request to find out if the physician has filed the appropriate records. So what they're going to do is they're going to dig and they're going to see if they can find something that criminally prosecute this doctor who basically saved this 10-year-old's life. If an investigation now underway determines that the report was not filed or not filed in time, the letter warns, the doctor could face criminal prosecution and licensing repercussions. I will put a link to this down in the description box. You can read on it further. But this is what Republicans are doing. They are cruel. They lack empathy and compassion. All they want is for women, white women specifically, to give birth so that their numbers will increase. They don't care about your health. They don't care about what station you are in life. They don't care if you financially afford to take care of the baby. They don't care if you're mentally stable enough to take care of the baby. Just have the baby, and they love put it up for adoption. You even have these maniacal Republicans, these Christian Taliban individuals all over the internet stating, putting up photos, I will adopt your baby. Well, in my research, there is 424,000 children that need a home. Why don't you start there? You haven't adopted any of those children. So we know you're not really willing to adopt these children. It's all performative. It's all to push along your bullshit narrative. It's not about saving the life of the child. It's none of that. You are not pro-life. You are pro-forced birth. As a result of this issue that we're now having with abortion and the lack of compassion and empathy and care for women in these abortion ban laws that are now in effect in some states in the United States, women are in danger. Women are in danger because not all women get abortions just because they don't want to have a baby. That's not why some of these women have abortions. Some of these women have abortions because it's medically necessary to save the mother's life. When a mother miscarries and cannot pass that baby naturally, an abortion is performed. Without that abortion, that dead baby inside of her body can cause sepsis and she can die, among other complications that she could die from. If she has an ectopic pregnancy where the baby attaches itself outside of the uterus, the womb, the mother can die. They have to physically go in and abort that baby in order to save the mother's life. But these Republicans who have implemented these abortion bans, those abortion bans does not allow for medical procedures such as abortions to be done in order to save the life of the mother. The cases of situations like the 10-year-old, I'm using my words carefully, as well as being forced to have certain relations. Some mothers don't want to live with that trauma for the rest of their lives, and they choose not to have a baby should a pregnancy end up being the result of those situations. And so the Biden administration has been digging to see, is there a ray of hope for individuals, specifically mothers who have to have an abortion in the state of emergency where it needs to be done in order to save the mother's life. And they came up with the EMTALA model. I got this from the Hill. There is a law that has been on the books which would apply nationwide. It's a federal law to mothers to be in this type of situation. And Texas is trying to sue the Biden-Harris administration to stop the enforcement of this federal law. So they know that women can be put into this situation. Miscarrying, can't pass the baby, need to have an abortion. Ectopic pregnancies, need to have an abortion. They know these situations exist. And this law that has been on the books will help those women get the treatment that they need.
Someone is at the front door.
Sorry, y'all. Someone's at the front door. This law will help these individuals get the treatment that they need. Texas representatives know this. And so they are going to sue the Biden administration, who has made it known that this law is on the books. And women, you can go to any emergency room and they must provide you with care and treatment, or they will be breaking the law. Texas is trying to stop that from happening by suing the Biden-Harris administration. Got this from the Hill. Texas alleged the guidance goes much further than simply reminding hospitals of their obligations under current law. Quote, it includes a number of new requirements related to the provisions of abortions that do not exist under federal law. The state is asking the court to issue a permanent injunction prohibiting the administration from enforcing said guidance. Quote, this is President, quote, I will ensure that President Biden will be forced to comply with the Supreme Court's important decision concerning abortion, and I will not allow him to undermine and distort existing laws to fit his administration's unlawful agenda. This is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. The lawsuit was filed just days after the Department of Health and Human Services issued guidance reaffirming that the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, EMTALA, EMTALA, protects providers when offering legally mandated life or health-saving abortion services in emergency situations. Under the EMTALA law, if an emergency medical condition is found to exist, the hospital must provide available stabilizing treatment or an appropriate transfer to another hospital that has the capability to provide stabilizing treatment. HHS said abortion care qualifies as stabilizing care. It's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. Last but not least, Chicago has been ranked the best number 2 city in the world. Not the United States, in the world. They are ranked number 2 in the world. You hear that, white supremacists and racists who like to use Chicago as their narrative of Black people being the most violent, right? Well, Chicago has ranked the best number 2 in the world, not just the United States. I'll put a link to this down in the description box, just so you know, when you hear a racist out there saying, when the discussion is about violence and Black people, when you hear the white supremacists or the racists out there saying, but what about Chicago? You can respond and say, Chicago has been ranked best city, number 2, the world. However, these cities that are the most dangerous in the United States, the top 10 are Detroit, Michigan, Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, Baltimore, Maryland, St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Cleveland, Ohio, Little Rock, Arkansas, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Stockton, California. The link to all of this information will be down in the description box. Thank you all for joining me in Politricks News for today. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to The Conversation. Make sure you subscribe and rate the episode. And to stay connected with Tabitha, head on over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Tabitha. And you can also follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. All the links will be available in the More Info box. Until next time, be good to yourselves and each other.
And each other.